Hey WHCA WiCAL members, John Vandermeer, Executive Director here with Tina Belongia, our new Director of Quality Advancement and Regulatory Affairs. We're very glad to have Tina on board. Tina, welcome to the WHCA WiCAL staff team.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Great.
Excited.
Yeah. And I just wanted to ask you a couple questions for the benefit of our membership so that they know a little bit about you and how your role is going to benefit our member facilities.
Sure.
So Tina, I know that you have a wealth of experience in clinical operations from across the long-term care continuum. Could you give us a little bit of a background in terms of how your work experience and your professional career will be beneficial for our members on the assisted living and the skilled nursing side?
Sure. So I basically grew up in post-acute care, having started volunteering in elementary school, actually at a local nursing home and assisted living. And I knew I wanted to become a nurse at that point. So I pretty much set my sights on working in long-term care, post-acute care, and pretty much grew up that way. So I've served in pretty much every spectrum, from working as a CNA to an LPN to an RN, right on up to a regional nurse and then a corporate director of clinical, as well as now the last few years working in consulting work and working with both assisted livings and skilled nursing centers. So I think I have a wide breadth of knowledge, as well as the feel for what it's like to work in each of those different clinical positions. So I know a lot of their challenges, and I hope to bring some of those challenges and help people navigate through that.
Great. I think Tina's background and experience at really all levels of the long-term care continuum and within skilled nursing facility buildings, particularly from the standpoint of, your knowledge of the regulations, your knowledge of clinical practices, I think will really be beneficial to our membership. So really glad to have you on board, Tina. Tina, can you talk about some of the challenges that are facing the long-term care provider community right now and how some of your background and experience will be beneficial in your role as the Director of Quality Advancement and Regulatory Affairs, and what you can bring to the table to assist members to deal with this multitude of challenges that they're facing? Right,
yeah, it's tough times out there. And you're right, there's a lot of challenges that we juggle every day, no matter if we're in assisted living or a skilled nursing center. But having been through the trenches, so to speak, I think that brings a lot of experience that I can then share with our members as they're also in the trenches, working through potential issues or problems, or even the sharing of best practices, right? Because sometimes I think we don't do a good job of sharing best practices, but there's a lot of great things happening around the state. So, helping to share those best practices, helping when there's regulatory questions, helping when there's quality questions. Sometimes we get overwhelmed by all the data that's out there, and sometimes it's nice just to have a person to talk to and say, who do I go to for this, or where do I look for this, or have you seen this? Has this happened to you before? And having a person to kind of not necessarily give you the answer, but sometimes point you in the right direction.
Right.
And I think I've been around the block enough that I've got enough contacts out there, and I know some of the good things that are happening out there, and I'm happy to share the good, the bad, and the ugly, so to speak.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that you'll have the ability and the benefit of is the tremendous team that's available at ACA NCAL to provide you additional assistance in terms of navigating the federal bureaucracy and CMS as well. You're going to be serving on several AHCA NCAL committees that will allow you to leverage those resources for the benefit of our members here in the state. Another important responsibility that Tina will take on with the association is helping us develop our educational curriculum and ensure that we have an educational curriculum that's really ripped directly from the regs and in a position to make sure that our members are in the best possible position to succeed in their facilities. And I think that your background and experience will be appropriate for that. So Tina, you're driven to work, and you're clearly driven to achieve your goals in a lot of areas. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your plans for later this year. You're planning on climbing a portion of Mount Everest?
Yeah. I'm actually going to base camp in September.
Okay. So tell us about what brought you to take on that challenge, and tell us a little bit about your preparations for those efforts.
Sure. I think we all go through life and we have like lists of things that we want to accomplish. I'd like to go here. I'd like to learn this. I'd like to visit that place. And Everest was just one of those places that I thought, wow, that would be great to get to go to base camp and just kind of experience, number one, a different culture, but then number two, to take on a challenge. I'm afraid of heights. So
that's a place to go.
So yeah, I thought that would be a great place to go. And actually talked to a friend who got connected with a group here out of out of Milwaukee. They went last year and started talking to people, and I almost didn't do it because there's one flight that's just scares the living daylights out of me. But it's kind of because of that I decided I have to do this. So I'm all signed up, getting prepared, doing a lot of hiking. Just returned back from Denver and hiked a 14,000-foot mountain there, trying to see how the elevation will affect me. But, I think going through life and being held back by your fears is really sad. So I'm just going to pluck them off one by one and just kind of keep pushing forward. And I think there's going to be a lot of lessons that I have from this trip. So, and I'm really looking forward to actually sharing them. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and you can share some of the lessons that you learned at our fall convention coming up in Green Bay. You will have returned from Nepal at that time. So certainly ask Tina about that experience at fall convention. So thanks, Tina, for joining us today, and so glad to have you on board as the new Director of Quality Advancement and Regulatory Affairs for Wisconsin Healthcare and the Wisconsin Center for Assisted Living.
Great. Thank you so much. I really look forward to getting out there and talking with our members and meeting everyone. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Tina.